In the last video, we looked at what is normality, the different ways of understanding normality, and this video will be taking a look at how does this idea of normality play into our understanding of what is mental health, what is a mental health problem, and what is a mental illness. So these three things are usually understood on a continuum, and we'll talk more about continuums later on, but you should remember them from the sleep and states of consciousness topic as well. But essentially, because it is a continuum, it suggests that everyone lies somewhere along this continuum. It isn't categorical, so you aren't either just mentally healthy, or you just have a mental health problem, or you have a mental illness. Although, unfortunately, a lot of the times when it does become a mental illness, a disorder, it does become a classification. We'll talk more about that in the next topic. Um, so, to differentiate between these ones, mental health, as it says here, is the capacity of an individual to interact with others and the environment in ways that promote subjective well-being. It's really important here to understand that it's saying subjective, so that is dependent on the person and their perspective of it, and this can sometimes become a problem when that person's subjective well-being doesn't align with what society or the people around them classify as normal. A mental health problem is referred to as a rough patch or a low point, I guess. So essentially, it's where a person is experiencing some problems, and they're very common. They're often not long lasting. When people are experiencing mental health problems, they could be feeling tense or low, irritable, quiet. They might have changes to their sleep patterns and their appetite. They might lose energy or motivation, and they might become withdrawn or have difficulties concentrating. So, there are lots of different reasons why people might experience a mental health problem, and it's a part of daily functioning. When it becomes a disorder, it's classified as a mental illness, and it becomes a disorder when it significantly interferes with a person's cognitive, emotional, or social abilities. So, when it becomes this mental illness, it's really affecting a person's functioning if you're looking at the functioning perspective of normality. And this is when psychologists and psychiatrists and other health professionals come in order to assist this client with coping with a mental illness and moving them back into mental health. If you can take a look at box 12.1 in your textbook, it outlines the illness in Australia. So what you've got in this table here is that you've got the percentage of female and male who experience mental illnesses within the population. And in the graph, it also shows you the incidence of mental illnesses over the lifespan. So the age bracket that the majority of you guys are in, 16 to 24, that's actually the largest percentage of people who experience a mental illness. So as you can see there, it's about 25%, which means that it's 1 in 4 people. One of the things that we really want to promote in psychology is to get rid of the stigma of mental illnesses, because it is very prevalent in our society, but a lot of different mental illnesses are often taboo and aren't talked about. And it's really important that these people who are experiencing these mental illnesses and mental health problems as well are understanding that it is very common and there is that support. This starts to decline down to just above 5%, about 7% there between the age group of 75 to 85. And we'll talk about in class why we see these different patterns that we see in this graph here. I'm just going to also run through, sorry, just give me 1 second, my laptop has frozen, there we go. I'm just also going to run through the activities that we'll be doing in class time regarding these first two videos, 1.1 and 1.2, just in case you aren't in class and you want to have a go at it yourself as well. So we'll be talking in our groups and really consolidating our understanding of what is normal and what is abnormal based on those 6 different perspectives of normality that we looked at in video 1.1. You'll also be looking at characteristics of what a person who is mentally healthy, what a person with a mental health problem or a mental illness might look like, and you'll be classifying those into those 3 I don't want to use the word categories, but in this case, it is kind of category, but remembering also that mental health is on a continuum. We'll then also be looking at learning activity 12.3, just some more consolidating questions, particularly questions 4 and 5 we'll discuss as a class, and I'll also be giving you some practice VCE questions.